Hello, everyone. I will be discussing another very important celestial event, which is the actual astronomical sidereal entrance of Saturn into Aquarius. With the same importance was the event of Saturn entering Capricorn, which happened end of January 2020, and you see how this changed the world and how every 30 years this changes the world. When Saturn enters his own places, such as Capricorn and Aquarius, we always witness significant mundane events, meaning world events which influence the humanity. Now, a big note to make. This is according to the ancient Babylonian zodiac. And you hear that Saturn enters Aquarius, according to the Vedic Indian astrologers, now end of March. This is not wrong. But the most ancient, and this is already supported even by the contemporary science. So the most ancient zodiac is the sidereal ancient Babylonian. So I would say Mesopotamian, Sumerian zodiac, which actually is also astronomical. And with the Vedic astrology, the zodiac, the Vedic zodiac and the Babylonian zodiac have only 1 degree difference, 1 degree difference. But for such slow planets as Saturn, this results in many days. So according to the Vedic zodiac, which you hear often, Saturn enters sidereal Aquarius on the 28th of March, but the most ancient astronomical zodiac is showing that Saturn enters sidereal Aquarius on the 28th of May to stay there until 8th of June, 18th of June. So 1 month, but very important. And I'll explain you why you should watch what is happening, because this is important. So Saturn enters 28th of May, but of course we already feel these energies because as we speak, Saturn is already in the very last degrees of Capricorn, about to enter Aquarius. Why this is very important, why we really need to watch and see what is happening around us in our lives. This is because this is temporary entrance of 1 month, and even on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of June, Saturn will be stationary, and I will explain you about this particular degree. This is very important detail, significant detail. So it is 1 month of transit of Saturn in Aquarius, but we need to watch carefully what is happening to the world and to our lives, because later on, end of January 2023, Saturn really enters sidereal Capricorn, but this time for long. He will be staying in Aquarius, he will be staying in Aquarius for approximately 3 years. So he leaves sidereal Capricorn to enter Aquarius, where he will be staying for 3 years. In the end of January 2023, then we'll be experiencing the real changes, the real transformations, which will be already noted about now, because 1 month he will be giving very important messages and signs to us how the next period will be looking like. So I will even share my screen with you to show you the chart of this event, because it will maybe be more interesting. So this is the horoscope of this event. Look, Saturn enters, this is 22nd of May, 2022. Saturn enters Aquarius, look. And the moon is just in the 6 degrees of Aquarius. Even Saturn makes a, well, this is another thing. So Saturn and the moon are in conjunction. The moon is waning though. The moon is waning. In the world, in the mundane astrology, the moon always represents the people, the nation. And the moon is waning with the diurnal daily planet as Saturn. So it will not be very joyful transit because there is no harmony between the waning moon and the daily planet as Saturn, first of all. But what is also happening is that when Saturn enters Aquarius, he is squaring Mercury, he is squaring the Sun. You know the sign Taurus, the whole axis of Taurus Scorpio is very important financial axis. So obviously this will not bring financial freedom. It will further the changes which are happening to the financial system. But on another level, and now I will of course look at the historical events which happened 30 years ago when we had similar transit. The transit actually was quite similar. So Saturn enters Capricorn, Aquarius, and he will on the 3rd, 5th, and 4th of June, he will be stationary, meaning he emphasizes on certain degree. And this degree happens to be the river Eridanus. But before telling you about the river Eridanus, mythologically, the meaning of the river Eridanus, what is the sign of Aquarius? The sign of Aquarius has totally different, is ruled by totally different elements. It is airy sign. It is very different from the earthy Capricorn. So when we, and once again, I'm telling you, this is only 1 month of transit, which will show us globally what actually to expect from the true transit of Saturn entering Aquarius in January 2023, because then he'll be staying there for quite some time. So he changes elements. This is very significant. Saturn in Capricorn did what you saw him doing, which is importance of real estate and property. And you notice, and we keep noticing how the prices of the properties and the real estate rise, how important became the business of related to building, agriculture, even gemstones. All this became very important. How significantly this influenced the rulership of the world, how transformational this was and still is. When Saturn changes elements, then you will see how the importance and the emphasis shifts from agriculture, but in a different way. But this classical agriculture, building, real estate, how this will shift to very different areas of business, if you want, and interest. Like Aquarius is ruling this is the sign of Enki. Very, very important, because I will remind you one thing. Enki was one of the three, Enki, Anu, and Ea. These were the three main divinities which have part in the creation of humanity. Enki is father of Marduk, Jupiter. He is magical, very, very magical. And this era that we're entering of Aquarius, but we're at the gates of Aquarius, is very important. Of course, it will have to do with new technologies, but because it's an Aries sign and because it is ruled by Uranus, of course, it is about the fast change, and it is about the introduction of other type of energy, if you want, which is very typical for Aquarius and for the era of Aquarius. Other type of technologies, this will further this change which is happening, let's say in how you call this, I forgot, these technologies which produce electricity, but in the not traditional way. Air technologies, solar technologies, it is all about Aquarius. It will not be fun for us, the people, because as you see, the moon is fallen. But this is the river Eridanus. What is the river Eridanus? The river Eridanus, I read a lot about this river because it is called Eridanus in the Greek mythology. But when I looked back, according to the Babylonians, this probably on earth is the river Nile, the Egyptian river Nile, which is very significant. It signifies one whole culture. River is water. Eridanus is also the river which is transporting the souls of the dead. It is also, this actually here, the river Eridanus, where Saturn will enter and will stationary retrograde, is about, river is knowledge, abundance of knowledge. And from this degree, the river starts. I will tell you now also some more before we look at significant events which happened in 1993 when we had similar, but not exactly the same transit. Second. Now look, river Eridanus, the Nile and the Oceanos are each connected with some kind of paradise, happy gardens, Elysium, island of the blessed. Further, I will tell you. What I read about Venus, and this is translation from Akkadian. He who stabs his flesh in honor of Ishtar, Venus, the goddess, unrivaled, like the stars of heaven, he shall shine, like the river of night, he shall flow. Very, very, very significant river Eridanus. There is a lot about the term in Akkadian, but in any case, Eridanus most probably is identical with Nile. And it was so important that even there were stories that, magical stories that Hermes, with his magic, would change, with his divination powers, would be able to change the direction of the river Eridanus so that they have fertile lands. Very significant, very mythological river, which signifies the whole culture. Now, this means that this transit of Saturn and the point of him being stationary direct in this degree is very significant. So, important change that we as people need to go through. And it is also about abundance of knowledge. Yes, it is very magical because Enki is ruling Aquarius, but it is about very significant knowledge, truth that will become on surface. And yes, water. Like I mentioned to you, new alternative means, sources of energy on water, the river Eridanus most probably, but also solar, air, energy, all this will come into power. New Aquarius is one more thing very important. Aquarius is a sign, first significant for another reason, which is that it symbolizes the whole new era that we're entering in 300 something years, but 300 something years from global perspective are just nothing, blink of an eye. So we're at the doorsteps of this new era, which is about new technology, which is about communes. You will not see the same way of building or the same way of living. Maybe people may be more interested in building communities and living together. Like it may sound quite far, but this is what the year of Aquarius might be about. And we will kind of we will experience this when Saturn, because he will emphasize heavily on Aquarius, to bring transformation there, Aquarius. Of course, the negative sides of this will be this transformational influence on the communities of people, attempts of Saturn, the governments, to put restrictions on global communities, let's say. But there is balance always needs to be established, to be found in nature. So yes, on one side we may experience this, but we can experience also this very new ways of doing agriculture, new ways of taking care of the land, communities of people, agricultural communities of people, and new terms, new ways of energy, like I said already. The bad is, of course, the artificial intelligence, very much about Aquarius and Uranus and restrictions. But which one will influence our lives is up to us very, very much, because we will be warned, because when Saturn enters now Aquarius, he shows us what in more global, deep, transformational perspective will happen when Saturn enters Aquarius for long. The same notice we had from Saturn when he entered shortly Capricorn, before he entered for real, for long Capricorn in 2020 January. And I was making a similar video. It's like deja vu for me. And I was saying, watch now what Saturn will show you, because he will show you the real big picture after he really enters Aquarius. So this is very important. Another very important thing is that when Saturn enters and makes his stationary movement in Aquarius, this once again, first degree of Aquarius, where we have term section of Aquarius ruled by Mercury. Your awakening, our knowledge, our mind, a lot will come into to be known. And yes, I remind you, Saturn is squaring Mercury and the Sun in Taurus, and even Mercury, as far as I remember, was in the Pleiades. Very interesting, very magical, deep in terms of knowledge, finding the truth, and also very much pushing us to awake finally, those that are not, to do our best to find our true selves, who we really are. Saying this, let's see what happened to the world when we had, I'm reading through some historical sites which I find on the internet, what happened in 1993. What really I found shocking was the large amount of bombing events, bombing in India, in Bombay, here and there. This was really shocking. And just to tell you, when this happened, Uranus was in Sagittarius, sextiling Saturn in Aquarius. And now, when this second event will happen, Uranus is in Aries, also sextiling from a fiery place Saturn. So you see, this was also an additional trigger. One very significant, to me, I would dare to say malefic event, was President Clinton sworn into office. This was 1993. Then we have this huge discussion about between Ukraine and Russia about the nuclear weapon when America took place. So you see, history repeats. Czechoslovakia was split into Czech Republic and Slovakia. See, this is another and huge event. European single market is created by the European Economic Community, eliminating trade barriers within the EU. So you see what we're talking about? It is the pre-EU. Many bombings, illegal nuclear weapons program in Iraq, this Baghdad whole story, US Air Force fires missiles at Baghdad, see, this is also very, very significant. Many bombings, shocking. I cannot read all of the events, but you can find them online. Republic. This is, there was something more. Thailand, worst hotel disaster, again, collapses, many people die. This you read all the time. So obviously it was very transformational and not very, the European Union is, this is November, is formally established at the Maastricht Treaty. Establishment of the European Union, we have also in 1993, when Saturn stayed in Sidereal Aquarius. Very, very significant date, very transformational. Now, how this will play out for the world, of course, this will have the good and the bad, in the tragic and the positive events, as usual. The positive will be these communities of people which would opt for free way and healthy and natural way of living. And then, of course, you'll be having this. I will also make now a separate video only about Ukraine, and I made already about the war. It will not most probably transform into a world war, but when Saturn enters Aquarius, certainly this will have impact on the events, but I will make a detailed video about this. But just to tell you that we always, of course, have to look historically what happened as a result of the same celestial event. I don't think that it will be very, it will be devastation and dramatic, but it will be, the world will, and the changes for us will really go on another level. You will see how the economy will change. Most probably there will be new financial system. Most probably the economy will have different focus, and the businesses that will be important will also be different than the ones that are people are focusing on now, but I mentioned this already. So see you very soon with, we'll be looking at the horoscope of Zelensky and Ukraine. Why I cannot look at the horoscope of Russia? Because I don't think that we have the horoscope of Putin, for many reasons. I will explain you about this in a separate video. Thank you for your attention.